All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk photosynthesis and cell respiration. We got a lot to cover with this, so we're going to go pretty quick. Listen, first of all, if you have not watched this video, or if at any point you're super confused on photosynthesis and cell respiration, first you can go back and rewatch this video right now that we're doing. But then the other thing is going to be this video down here, this Generation Genius. Now, you should have already watched this, but this is super helpful. This is a very good video in which they do a lot of explanation through activities and labs. So this is a really good one if you're confused on photosynthesis and cell respiration. This is just posted on Canvas right on the photosynthesis and cell respiration page. If you're confused at all, go check out this video. All right, now let's talk photosynthesis and cell respiration. Now, this is kind of what the discussion question asked you the other day is, what does this plant need to grow? And so if you never thought about that one, I want you to go ahead and think about this one right now. What does this plant actually need to grow? Pause the video, think about it. All right, now hopefully you've paused it. Hopefully you thought about it for a couple of seconds. You may have come up with different solutions like, well, it needs some form of energy, or, well, it needs some form of nutrients. And the actual answer to this is that all of those are correct. We do need energy. These plants need energy to grow. And the question is, well, how do they get that energy? And it's through a process that we call photosynthesis, in which plants use water and carbon dioxide and they convert it into sugar and oxygen. Okay, now, one of the things that they really need that hasn't been mentioned yet is the sun. Okay, that's why plants are green. That's why they spend so much time outside. That's why they grow up towards the sun. They're seeking that sun in order to take things like water and carbon dioxide and convert it into that sugar. Now, this is a process, again, that's called photosynthesis. You guys remember the chloroplast? Remember what we were talking about with these organelles? This is the part of the plant cell. It's only in plant cells, but this is the part of the plant cell that does photosynthesis. It takes that sunlight that we were talking about. It also takes what we call carbon dioxide. What you breathe out carbon dioxide plus water, which is why plants need to be watered. You guys know my palm trees. You know I'm always over there watering them. So they need this water. These are what we would call reactants. These are things that we're going to put into this equation, this reaction. So we take sunlight, carbon dioxide, a little bit of water, and what it gives us is sugar. It actually gives us sugar. It gives the plant sugar plus a little bit of oxygen. These are things that we would call products. Okay, so once again, we take carbon dioxide and water, we add these things together. The sunlight comes in there, it gives this thing a little boost for this reaction to take place, and then we get sugar, we get food. Plants need food. This is their food. Photosynthesis makes plant food. So it produces that sugar and it also produces that oxygen. Now, some would say, is this process for us? It produces oxygen, right? Do we have this process for us? Is it there so that these plants grow and it just allows us to take some fresh air? No, it's not. It is for the plants to grow. This is why we started with that picture of the plants growing, seeking more sunlight, because they need this sugar so that they are to be able to grow, to continue to develop, to continue to populate. They need that sugar. Okay, it's definitely not just for us. It is for those plants. Now, they get all that sugar and they store it. There's got to be a way for them to use it eventually. And this is that process. We take sugar and we take oxygen and we get energy. We saw this in the video, that Generation Genius video. I wanted to go ahead and show some of the pictures from it. So we took those marshmallows, which are mostly made of sugar, and they'll burn. But the crazy thing is when you add this liquid oxygen to it, when you add oxygen into the equation, look at the reaction that happens here. So sugar and oxygen gives us a huge reaction, a huge burst of energy. Okay, that's a very important part. It's not just sugar. Sugar will burn, sure, but it requires that oxygen to release that energy. So plants need energy, right? They need that energy to grow. What do? Well, they take the sugar that they just made, they combine it with some oxygen, and they get that big release of energy that we're seeking. Okay? Now, to further understand this, I think it's important that we go back to this equation, this photosynthesis equation that we were just talking about. Because if we look at it, here it is once again, where we took the carbon dioxide, the water, and we get sugar and oxygen. But wait a second. weren't we just talking about taking sugar and oxygen and giving us a big boost of energy? And that's true, because if you look at the other topic of this presentation, it's about cellular respiration. So what we do is, look at what I just did. Watch the arrow in the middle of the screen. It just flips. So we had photosynthesis. Here's cell respiration. Nothing else really changed. It's just the arrow that's moving. Look, carbon dioxide and water, they stay on the same side. Sugar and oxygen, they stay on the same side. The arrow just shifts. So in this one, we take that sugar, we take that oxygen, because remember, that's how we get the big burst of energy. We put those two together, and what happens is they give us carbon dioxide, they give us water, and there's that big burst of energy. That's all that energy. It's what we call ATP, but there's that big burst of energy. So in this case over here in cell respiration, sugar and oxygen, these are the reactants. These are the things that we're putting together, just like those marshmallows when we added the liquid oxygen to it. Took that sugar, a little bit of oxygen, and we get this big burst of energy plus carbon dioxide plus water. All that stuff was in there too. But the big burst of energy, that was the thing that we saw. Now, you may have seen this diagram. If you haven't seen it, this is something that we're definitely going to focus on. It's a cycle, right? Those two things, the fact that we can see them going back and forth. Look, here we go once again. Photosynthesis, cell respiration. They're the same thing. The things don't move. They don't change. It's the same thing on every side. The arrow just flips. The equation goes the other way. So it's a cycle, right? So if we're talking about photosynthesis, we take a little bit of light energy into the chloroplast, plus carbon dioxide, plus water. Look, they're all going into the chloroplast right here. And what comes out of it? Photosynthesis. We get sugar, glucose, okay, plus oxygen. Well, the mitochondria takes in the oxygen and it takes in the glucose. Remember, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It creates the energy, or transforms the energy. Take oxygen, glucose, and what do we get out of it? A little bit of energy plus carbon dioxide and water. And then it just continues to roll right on into this cycle. It just continues to go. Now, you can look at it like this on a small scale, or you could look at it on a bigger scale. Like this makes sense ecologically. The sun comes down for the plants. They do photosynthesis. What do the photosynthetic organisms produce? Sugar and water. Well, animals eat the plants. They take in the sugar. They breathe in the oxygen, and then what do the animals do with it? They produce carbon dioxide and water. Think about yourself. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out carbon dioxide. What do plants need? They take in carbon dioxide, they give off oxygen. Okay, so this stuff works. All right, this is a beautiful cycle, and it works, and it keeps our planet going. Guys, listen, that's a lot. Photosynthesis, cell respiration, this can be a complicated thing. Confused? Go back and watch this again. Go back and check out that Generation Genius video again to try to help this solidify in your mind. We'll get through it. We're going to go slow. I'll help you. This is a tough one. So if you need a little extra help, keep watching these videos. Keep working. We'll get it. All right, guys. See you later.